Let's talk volcanoes.
Now, the Earth has volcanoes because the crust is broken into 17 major rigid tectonic plates that float on a hotter, softer layer in its mantle. Therefore, Earth generally holds a large amount of volcanoes near the tectonic plates, which are usually either diverging or converging. A good example for the diverging tectonic plates would be the mid-Atlantic range of volcanoes, and a good example for the converging tectonic plates would be the Pacific Ring of Fire. Now, volcanoes can also form where there is stretching and thinning of crust plates, example the East African Rift and the Wells Gray Clearwater Volcanic Field, as well as the Rio Grande Rift in North America. Now, this type of volcanism falls under the umbrella of plate hypothesis. Now, this hypothesis is a little bit different to wrap your head around, but it's basically what the entire world is accepted and is what this species accepts. Now, volcanism that occurs away from the plates are called as mantle plumes, and they're so-called hotspots. For example, Hawaii, one of the biggest examples, is one of the most populated areas, as well as has a very big upwelling of magma from the core mantle boundary that is around 3,000 kilometers deep into the earth. Now, volcanoes are usually not created where two tectonic plates slide past one another, and instead, erupting volcanoes can pose much worse hazards, not only to the immediate vicinity of the people that are living near the volcano and that will be affected by the immediate eruption of it, but also volcanic ash. Now, volcanic ash usually starts being spewed out way before the initial magma starts flowing out, up to the point in which volcanic ash can be a threat to aircraft, in particular those with jet engines that can suck in the ash particles and that can then melt under the high operating temperature of the engines. The melted particles then adhere to the turbine blades and alter their shape, disrupting the operation of the turbine, and it can result in catastrophic events. Planes have been reported to crash during sudden eruptions that occurred. Now, no large scale airliners have been affected, but there are a couple of small private planes that have been. Now, large eruptions can take effect to the temperature as well, as droplets of sulfuric acid obscure the sunlight and cool the Earth's lower atmosphere or troposphere. However, they also absorb the radiation from the Earth, thereby warming the upper atmosphere or the stratosphere. Historically, volcanic winters have also called catastrophic famines. Now, a huge example of this would be volcanic winter. Volcanic winter is said to have taken place around 70,000 years ago after the super eruption of Lake Toba on the Sumatra island in Indonesia. Now, according to the Toba catastrophe theory, to which some anthropologists and archaeologists subscribe to, it had a global consequence, killing most humans that were alive then and creating a population bottleneck that affected the genetic inheritance of all humanity today. Now, the massive eruption event which formed the Siberian Trap was one of the largest known volcanic events of the last 500 million years on the Earth's geological history. Now, it continued for over a million years and is considered to be the great dying of about 250 million years ago of the Earth, which is estimated to have killed around 90% of the species that existed at that point in time. As close as we've seen this as a modern species is 1815, when the eruption of Mount Tabora created global climate anomalies that became known as the year without a summer. Now, because the effect on the North American as well as the European weather was so great, agricultural crops failed, livestock died in the northern hemisphere, as well as resulting in one of the worst famines of the 19th century. Now, volcanoes are so horrible that there is an entire ring of fire, which is a major area in the Pacific Ocean where a large number of earthquakes and volcanic eruptions occur. In a 40,000, that is 25,000 miles, horseshoe-shaped region, it is associated with nearly continuous series of oceanic trenches as well as volcanic arcs and belts that have continuous plate movements. It has around 452 volcanoes, more than 75% of the world's active and dormant volcanoes. And the Ring of Fire is sometimes also called as Circum-Pacific Belt. Now, 90% of the world's earthquakes and 81% of the world's largest earthquakes occur along the Ring of Fire. The belt is almost seismically the world's most active region, with around 5 to 6% of earthquakes and 17% of the world's largest earthquakes occurring in that region alone. Now, it is the Alphite belt, which extends from Java to the North American Ocean via the Himalayas and the southeast of Europe. Now, the freezing winter of 1740-1741, which led to the widespread famine in northern Europe, may have also owed its origin to a volcanic eruption. So, as far back as we can see, volcanoes have been known to have global changes that affect people on every continent on the planet, irrelevant of where they are. Now, if the eruption is big enough, you can bet that there is going to be consequences that are going to be faced by the people on the other side of the planet as well. Now, many ancient accounts ascribe volcanic eruptions to supernatural causes, such as the acts of God and demigods. To the ancient Greeks, volcanoes were capricious powers that could only be explained as acts of God. While in the 16th and 17th century, German astronomer Johannes Kepler believed that they were ducks from the earth to let out its tears. Now, only one ideal counter to this was proposed by Jesuit Athanasius Kircher. He was born in 1602 and died in 1680, who witnessed eruptions of Mount Etna as well as Mount Stromboli. Then, he visited the crater of Vesuvius and published his view on the earth with a central fire connected to numerous others caused by the burning of sulfur, bitumen, and coal. So he proposed a theory in which there was a molten core that had several openings throughout the globe that spewed out this hot lava, and that was continuously on fire because of the reaction between sulfur, bitumen, and coal. Now, variations in this explanation were proposed for volcanic behavior before the modern understanding of the Earth's mantle structure as a semi-solid material was proposed and developed. For decades after awareness that compression and radioactive materials may be heat sources, their contributions were specifically discounted. Volcanic action was often attributed to chemical reactions and a thin layer of molten rock near the surface. Now, in the news recently, we all are aware about the volcanic events that are taking place and how people are again being displaced once again. But this is nothing new. What is new is the fact that there are a lot of volcanoes that are erupting and that have been erupting for years now. Not full scale eruptions, but enough to put them on eruptions ratings on the volcanic record charts. And when you go to see these images that you guys are probably looking at the screen right now, you see these dots. All of these dots are active erupting volcanoes as of now. These volcanoes are erupting as of now. They are categorized as erupting, not dormant, not extinct. They are erupting. They have pressure developing inside their chambers and they are erupting. Scales are different for each and every one of them, but the bottom line is the fact that we have a global scale volcanic event that is occurring, and you don't see anybody covering this. We all are aware of the fact that if Yellowstone becomes active, that will be the end of the North American continent, which is the most terrifying thing that I've ever heard of. But the fact of the matter is, if such a thing exists out there, we need to know where else do such things exist. I'm sure that Yellowstone is not the only supervolcano that we're aware of, but it can't be the only one that is hidden in plain sight. It took us a long time to figure that one out. And I just hope that it doesn't take us a global catastrophic event to figure out the next one. Peace.